Hello students, myself Deepika Prajapati from Computer Department and welcome to all of you in our today's video lecture series. Dear all students, we have already completed chapter number 1 of the subject Fosd, Fundamental of Software Design. So now in this lecture we are going to discuss about the chapter number 2, Software Analysis and Design. We have already seen in a previous video lecture series of the chapter number 1 have software development life cycle, it means SDLC. Then we have seen various types of model like software model, classical model, prototype model, iterative model, spiral model, and so and so. So this all topic we have already covered in a chapter number 1 in a previous video lecture series. So now in this lecture we are going to start chapter number 2, Software Analysis and Design. So let's see the topic number 1, feasibility study of the software. So what is feasibility study of the software? So the feasibility analysis is designed to determine whether or not give the project environment a project will be successful. Second point of the feasibility study of the software is that it makes analysis of different aspects like cost required for developing executing system, the time required for each phase of the system, and so on. So what is the feasibility study about the software is? It is a nothing but it is analyzed by aspect like cost of the software, otherwise require the development of our exciting software. Exciting software, it means nothing but our old system of the software, and whenever any new requirement develop for the new software, then it's defined by the cost required for the developing executing system of software and which time required for each phase of the system and so on. So these all are is nothing but the feasibility study ideas for our developing software. So here there are 3 types of feasibility analysis. First of all is economics feasibility, then second one is technical feasibility, and third one is behavioral feasibility. So the here one is 3 types of feasibility analysis of the software is a very most MP for the developing software. So here there are 3 types of feasibility analysis. Once again revise. First of all is economics feasibility, second technical feasibility, and third behavioral feasibility. Next, first of all economic feasibility. So here one is which topic cover in our economic feasibility. So here one is economic analysis is most frequently used method for evaluating the effectiveness of the system, and this is commonly known as cost as well as benefit analysis. So here one is totally depends on cost and benefit of the developing software covered by economic feasibility. Okay, so economic analysis is most frequently used method for evaluating the effectiveness of the system, and that is commonly known as cost as well as benefit analysis. Second is technical feasibility. So which point cover in a technical feasibility? So here one is a technical feasibility is center around the computer system such as a hardware, software as well as both etc. And it is determining whether the current hardware and software is sufficient to complete project work or not. Okay, so this one is a technical feasibility. Then third one is our behavioral feasibility. So people are resistant to the change and computers have been known to facilitate change. So it is analysis of how the user staff is behave towards development of computerized new system. So it is totally depends on requirement by user. Okay, so what is the behavioral feasibility? So this is totally depends on people as well as client as well as we can also say as a user. So whenever people are resistant to change and computers have been known to facilitate the change, then it is analyzed to how the user staff is behave towards development of new computerized system. Okay, then next requirement gathering and analysis. So here one is requirement gathering and analysis is nothing but end user plays a key role in a developing software product, and the task of requirement gathering and analysis is done by the system analyst and collecting all the information from the end user and analyze the collected information to remove all ambiguity and inconsistencies from customer perception. So mainly two activities are performed during this task. First of all is requirement gathering and second one is requirement analysis. So these 2 points during the task whenever the perform software system. So the here one is mainly two activities are performed during this task. First of all mainly requirement gathering and second one is requirement analysis. So these two activities is very most important activities during the performing of our software system. Okay, so this is our requirement gathering and analysis. So let's see which point cover the requirement gathering of software. So requirement gathering is the first activity performed during the software development. Second one is the goal of requirement gathering activity is to collect all relevant information from the customer regarding the product to be developed. Then in this phase meeting with customer, then analyzing market demand and the futures of product are mainly focused. So which point cover in requirement gathering? So requirement gathering is nothing but, dear all student, I have to give this one example of a real time world. So whenever any customer say to any employee as well as any client make a one type of software, then the client first of all listen to request from the people, then it focus which demand arrive from people, and then it make a plan, design and then develop the software. So in this page, first of all any employee as well as client meet with customer, then listen its requirements as well as demand from the customer, and then analyze market demand, and then features of the product are mainly focused. So this is nothing but all the requirement gathering from user side. Okay, so requirement gathering activities are studying the existing document, then interview with user, then then task analysis, then scenario analysis, then brainstorming and then questionnaires. So these is all activities of our requirement by any user, it means any person. So first of all studying the existing system as well as studying the existing document, then interview with user, then task analysis, then scenario analysis, then brainstorming and questionnaires. Okay, next the goal of second requirement analysis. Here one is we have studied requirement gathering and now here requirement analysis. So the goal of requirement analysis activity is the clearly understand the exact requirement of customer, and requirement analysis helps to understand, interpret, classify and organize the software requirements in order to access the feasibility, completeness and consistency of the requirements. So this one is our requirement analysis. Once again, the goal of requirement analysis activity is to clearly understand the exact requirements of the customer. Requirement analysis help to understand, interpret, classify and organize the software requirement in order to access the feasibility, completeness and consistency of requirement. Next, requirement specification types. So here the two types of requirement specification. First of all is user as well as we can also say as a customer requirement, and second one is system requirement. So the two types of requirement may be included in this document. So here one is user, customer requirement and system requirement. So user requirements are high level abstract statements, requirements for the customer and end user of the system. And system requirement are a more detailed description of the functionality to be provided. So this point is very most IMP point for the system requirement is it is detailed description of the functionality to be provided. Here one is functionality. Functionality, it means it given by the system, and abstract statement it's given by user. Okay, so here one is user requirement and system requirement is a very most IMP types of requirement specification. Next, this activity involves these types of also activities. First of all is electing requirement, analyzing requirement and requirement recording. So what is electing requirement and how it cover for the activity of requirement gathering and analysis software? So electing requirements is nothing but electing by communicating with customer and then find their exact need. ઇલેક્ટિંગ નીડની અંદર શું હોય છે કે કસ્ટમરને મળવાનું, એમની સાથે કમ્યુનિકેટ કરો અને એકચ્યુઅલી એમને શું જરૂરિયાત છે સોફ્ટવેર ડેવલપ કરવા માટેનું એની રિક્વાયરમેન્ટ જે છે એને આપણે જાણવાનું છે. સો ઇલેક્ટિંગ રિક્વાયરમેન્ટ્સ આર ઇલેક્ટિંગ બાય ધ કમ્યુનિકેટિંગ વિથ કસ્ટમર્સ એન્ડ ફાઇન્ડ ધેર એક્ઝેક્ટ નીડ. Then second one is analyzing requirements. So analyzing requirements are then analyzed to make it complete, clear and ambiguous. And then third one is requirement recording. So all the requirements are recorded in form of use case, process specification, etc. So the output of requirement gathering and analysis activity is SRS document. SRS means nothing but we can also say system as software requirement specification. So what is SRS? SRS is a software requirement specification as well as we can also say as a system requirement specification. So this is also importance role of electing requirement, analyzing requirement and requirement recording for the requirement gathering and requirement analysis of software development. Okay, next SRS, software requirement specification, and this topic is very most IMP topic for our GTU exam. So what is SRS, software requirement specification? So SRS is the output of requirement gathering and analysis activity. We have already seen in this lecture. First of all, require gathering and requirement analysis. So SRS means what? It is nothing but the output of requirement gathering and requirement analysis activity. So SRS is the output of requirement gathering and requirement analysis activity. SRS is a detailed description of the software that is to be developed and it describes the complete behavior of the system, and SRS describe what the proposed system should do without describing how the software will do, and it is working as a reference document for the developer. The SRS translates the ideas of the customer into the formal document, and the SRS document is prepared by system analyst. Next, SRS benefits. So SRS provides foundation for design work because it works as input to the design phase. It enhances communication between customer and developer. Developer can get the idea what exactly the customer want. It reduces development cost and time. It enables project planning and help in the verification and validation process. Then next, SRS content. That is very most IMP of system requirement specification as well as software requirement specification. So first of all is functional requirement, non-functional requirement, constraint. So here functional requirement cover services which the end user expect the final product to provide. Non-functional requirement describe the characteristics of the system that can't be expressed as functionality like portability, maintainability, usability, security, etc. Constraint means that describe what the system do or should do not. It means that is describe what the system should do or should not do. Okay, here one is the characteristics of SRS. So first characteristics is concise, complete, consistent, structured. So SRS should be contain brief and concise information regarding the project. No more detailed description of the system should be there. Complete, it should be complete regarding the project so it can be easily understood by the analyst and developer. Consistent, so in SRS should be consistent through the project development and requirement may not conflict at later stage. And structured should be well structured to understand and to be implemented. Then black box view, verifiable, adaptable, maintainable. So black box view, SRS should have a black box view, means there are should not be much detailing of the project in it. Verifiable, it should be verifiable by client or the customers for whom the project is being made. Adaptable, it should be adaptable in both sides, from the clients as well as from the developers. Maintainable, so SRS should be maintainable so in the future change can be made by easily. Then portable, unambiguous, traceable, so it should be as we can use the portable contain it the same type of development. Ambiguous, here one is unambiguous, so there should not be any alternates of SRS that create ambiguity. Traceable, each of the requirements should be clear and refer to the features or future about developing software. Then functional requirement of SRS, so here one is a functional requirement of SRS is define the functions of the software and its component. It forms the core of requirements documents. Then the functional requirements for a system describe the functionalities or services that system is expected to provide, and they provide how the system should react to particular input and how the system should behave in a particular condition as well as particular output. So the goal of functional requirement is to capture the behavior of the software in terms of functions and technology. Next, this one is how to identify functional requirement and how to document the functional requirement. So first of all, how to identify functional requirement. So from informal problem description or from conceptual understanding of the system and identify from the user perspective. Okay. And how to document the functional requirement. So document the functionality supported by the system and specify the input data domain, processing and output data domain. So dear all student, I hope you all easily understand from this PPT video lecture about this all topic of the chapter number 2, software analysis design. સો અત્યારે તમારે નોટબુકમાં અસાઇનમેન્ટ તરીકે કંઈ જ લખવાનું નથી. જ્યારે તમને અહીંથી અસાઇનમેન્ટ માટે કહેવામાં આવે ત્યારે જ તમારે અસાઇનમેન્ટમાં રાઇટ ડાઉન કરીને લખીને PDF બનાવીને મોકલવાની રહેશે. ત્યાં સુધી અત્યારે અસાઇનમેન્ટ તરીકે કંઈ જ નથી લખવાનું. ઓનલી જે તમને પ્રેક્ટિકલ માટેની PDF ગૂગલ ક્લાસરૂમ પર અપલોડ કરવામાં આવે છે એ જ તમારે પ્રેક્ટિકલ ફાઇલ પેજીસમાં રાઇટ ડાઉન કરીને મોકલવાના રહેશે. જ્યારે તમને અહીંથી કહેવામાં આવે અસાઇનમેન્ટ ત્યારે જ તમારે અસાઇનમેન્ટ લખવાનું રહેશે. ઓકે, સો આઈ હોપ યુ ઓલ ઇઝીલી અન્ડરસ્ટેન્ડ. થેન્ક યુ.